Good evening all. I thought I would come outside Carrow Road. It's been a while since I've done this out here, so I did the spotlight as well so you can see me. Happy Christmas to you all, I'll say that out here. I hope you have a good one. It's obviously on the way. The next time I do one of these, post-match will of course be on Boxing Day at Villa Park. Here, Norwich have just come undone 2-1 against Wolves. A really painful defeat because it's very easy coming on here and picking out holes as to how Norwich performances have unravelled and how they got it all wrong and the bits that they need to improve on and all this sort of thing. So much of today was excellent, but for at least a second goal that they probably deserved during a dominant first half, Norwich would have been in a far better position heading into the second half. They played some wonderful football, they defended really stoutly and stubbornly. I have to say Wolves were not at their best, and Wolves clearly improved in the second half, but actually even at the start of the second half this time, and like against Sheffield United, Norwich were matching that. They scored a lovely goal which was finished by Todd Cantwell. It was an excellent finish, but probably, you know, it's hard to criticise Teemu Pukki ever, but I would say especially that the chance just before half-time was the one where he just lacked a bit of conviction, and I don't know how much his sore toe played into today. He didn't quite seem himself, and by all means is he allowed that. The problem is with this Norwich squad and how Norwich is set up to try and take on the Premier League, even someone who isn't allowed an off day, if they have one, then Norwich are tending to pay the penalty. And that's pretty much what they've done here, because second half Wolves stepped up their game considerably. They had the energy, and once they got back level from a pretty awful set-piece routine by Norwich's standards, really there was only ever one team that was going to go on and win it. The goal will be broken down as an issue with zonal marking, and people who know a lot more about football than me have said as much. I think it still does come down to players reading situations and then making sure they're in a position to head clear. There was still enough time for Norwich to have done that defensively and organised themselves. I think I'm still reticent to just simply blame it on zonal marking. It will be how the players have managed the situation, or how the coaches have not got an idea across so they understand how to deal with the situation. That's how I see it. But I might be wrong. I'm sure people will tell me if I am wrong. So that is obviously incredibly... I have to say though, from the moment the Wolves got level, the dynamic of the game was such that it only ever looked like Wolves were going to go ahead and then get a winner, which did inevitably happen. And therefore I do have an issue that it was only 4 minutes before the 90, and we knew there'd be added minutes because of some faffing around with the referees' tech and audio equipment. But, you know, Daniel Farke made a triple change with 4 minutes to go. The only time Anel Hernandez got the ball was in the 96th minute, and the final minute of added time. And I can see why Daniel does it. I think he wants to trust the players that are out there. You're asking a lot of players to sort of bed in and then take on the game and get up to speed. But I do sometimes wish or feel maybe that in terms of proactively affecting the game, there is something that Daniel can do far more with substitutions. But this is not a new thing. I've been saying this since probably since his first season in charge, so I don't think anyone should look at something like today and feel a new frustration, because it's kind of the same frustration that we've had before, but it doesn't make it any easier to digest in a game where, you know, Norwich have been up and in a really good position, and then they've come away with nothing. And sadly now that's 2-1 home defeats on the trot, both from leading 1-0 at half time, up until which point Norwich have been very good when scoring the first goal in terms of the season and claiming points. And in terms of momentum, I mean, people are going to look for belief, and obviously people are really going to want to believe that Norwich can get themselves out of this situation, that they'll have the ability to do so, the players to do so, to learn. Everything in the first month for me was all about, this is a decent start if Norwich continue to develop. The problem I've got now is since then, really, Norwich's strengths have not developed, and ultimately other teams have picked holes in them, and Norwich haven't really secured enough of their weaknesses. They've definitely improved in areas, but it's like firefighting, and the fires in other areas are causing them significant issues. And at some point that becomes a very hard one to justify, that Norwich have got at the moment what it will take to finish above 3 other teams. I have to say at Villa Park against Aston Villa, we're going to find out if Norwich have got it in them to get a reaction from the 5-1 defeat here, which was a ridiculous weekend, and maybe prove that they can finish above Aston Villa, and then it's a starting point. But I have to say Wolves are an excellent team. I mean, going into this game, it was a really tough ask, and Norwich will have games that are easier to take points from than today. This Wolves side has a chance of winning the Europa League this year. They are going to finish in the top 7, I would imagine, probably easily, and I say that even when other teams kick on, because I expect there'll be teams who are below them at the moment who will be a lot closer to the top come the end of the season. So that's a fair caveat. Just doesn't make it any easier, of course, when you're sat here tonight. And I think that's maybe a key point to look ahead to Villa, and a real opportunity for Norwich to show what they have in them, because they're getting some severe character testing at the moment. If they can go to Aston Villa, put in a performance like the first half here, but then just do that little bit more. We're asking for them to continually develop, do that little bit more. They will come away with 3 points from Villa Park, and given they've just lost at Southampton, that would be a fantastic result. So that is the challenge for Norwich City to react to. Just in terms of today's game, Norwich did play very well. There were lots of very good performances for a lot of the game. Grant Hanley back in for Ben Godfrey. I thought Grant was excellent for so much of the game. In fact, if anything, it was Christoph Zimmermann's distribution that maybe let Norwich down at the back on occasion. So that has certainly eased the feeling maybe of losing Ben Godfrey for the entirety of the Christmas period. He's probably going to be back end of January, I'd have thought. And equally brilliant to see is Emi Buendia, the level. That's his best performance here at Carrow Road in a very long time. So certainly individually, probably in the Premier League, I would go as far as to say, and off the back of looking much more like his old self and his championship self at Leicester. That was lovely to see. I've been covering this club for 12 years. I've been supporting them since 1988, 89. I really don't want Emi Buendia to be another one of these players that you don't quite just get to see do their best for a prolonged spell with Norwich City. But perhaps that's the reality that Norwich have to deal with if they can't bring everyone else along up to their level and the level that they're at. We will see. Lots, of course, still to be played out. Lots of issues for Daniel Farke to address, and he has got a man management job on his hands to make sure everyone stays together and keeps their focus and belief on what happens next, because it's not getting any easier by any means. I'll wrap it up there. A happy Christmas to you, as I said. You can see my analysis from this afternoon. That'll be over at the Athletic, and I'll be at all the games over the Christmas period, so you'll be able to catch all of that over the course of that time. Make sure you log into the Athletic and get a subscription if you can. There's loads of discounts going around, and it's worth every penny, I can assure you of that. And I'll see you in Birmingham on Boxing Day. Until then, happy Christmas.